Okay. The land acknowledgement. It's an unbelievable thing when you actually sit there for it. I think I told the audience this, but a couple years ago, I went to this muckety-muck like conference where they want you to go and speak to the luminaries of today and tomorrow. And first they paraded out General Michael Hayden as some sort of an expert on Trump. Meanwhile, he's like one of his chief antagonists. Okay, this is not objective analysis. And then they had Ashley Judd get up there. And she was a hot mess. I mean, a hot mess. But she began for like the first 5 minutes with a land acknowledgement. This is like the left, they love these things. But then they don't do anything. They don't like make a donation. They don't give up the land. They don't like have someone like Elizabeth Warren, Chief Lies a Lot, come out and accept the apology. No, that's it. They're just like, we're bad people. We stole your land. Anywho, so here was the DNC yesterday and its kickoff.
Lindy Somek, who is from the Saginaw Ojibwe Nation, and she's going to deliver our land acknowledgement today. Lindy.
Bonjour, Lindy Somek, Nindichnikaz, Amik Saginaw Chippewa Dojaba, Anishinaabe Kwe and Dow. Good morning, DNC members, friends, and relatives. Let's talk about the land for a second. The DNC acknowledges and honors the Dakota Oyate, the Dakota people, who are the original stewards of the lands and waters of Minneapolis. The Dakota cared for the lands, lakes, and the Wapatonka, the Great River, the Mississippi River, for thousands of years before colonization. This land was not claimed or traded. It's a part of a history of broken treaties and promises. And in many ways, we still live in a system built to suppress Indigenous peoples' cultural and spiritual history.
Oh my God. Guys, Kmele, you look moved. I feel like it touched you a little.
I mean, there's always something about those land acknowledgements that reminds me of just how out of touch Democrats have the capacity to be. I mean, it's not just that this is kind of pretentious and frequently ahistorical. It just really does expose the vanity of their political project to the extent they're talking about this stuff and not willing to abandon the land completely. Just give it back. There's a history of bloodshed and slavery and oppression and genocide. Well, that's how you came to own this land. You should do something about it desperately. Yesterday, 12 years ago.
It's like Bernie Madoff beginning a speech with like, I just want to acknowledge all the people who I hurt and whose money built this mansion from which I'm speaking to you.
While bathing in
so
money.
I'm super sorry. And anyway, could you pass me that margarita? Thank you. Jeeves, over there, bring it, stat. Anyway, super sorry. As I was saying, what's the point?
I think the sad part is that as someone who really appreciates both history and property rights, this could be a teaching moment. It's always unidirectional. It's always you find some elder from a local tribe who talks at the top. And I like to hear from the elder from a local tribe. I think that's cool. Doesn't necessarily have to be the beginning of every political gathering. But if you take any patch of land, including the patches that we're all in our various places right now, there's a lot of weird ownership disputes. So this patch of land, French owned it for a while, and then there was like they went across the border and slit some throats, Champlain or whatever. Let's go for it. This land was seized by eminent domain as part of the urban renewal phrase of the 1960s and dispossessed a lot of people without a vote. Let's do all of it, but they only do it in one way, and it's right. It is in a way to show maximum penance and minimum action. Well, you could be concerned with Native American lot in modern day America. Of all the things that made me mad about the 1619 project is why are we ignoring the people on this continent right now who we screwed over pretty bad and left with pretty bad arrangements, generally speaking. They got a claim, and those people are patriotic as hell. So we should be leaning in that direction and embracing all of that rather than just in a unidirectional way saying, I have the greatest morality by, crying at the right moment.
They can't help themselves, Moynihan.
I was going to start this response, Megyn, with a bunch of gibberish that I would pretend was a language that 7 people spoke.
Let's do the Buddhist chant from Tina. Nyam Yaho Rengekyo. Does anyone feel better?
Mecca Lecca Hi, Mecca Heini Ho, to quote the great Pee Wee Herman. I want to acknowledge Steve, who lived in this apartment before me, but I could pay more. I believe because I paid a little more rent from him, and I have dispossessed him from this apartment in Brooklyn. Steve, I'm sorry if you're listening. No, Democrats have to realize a couple of things. One is actually Republicans do this, doesn't work out well for them either. Doing battle over history constantly is never a vote getter. People get annoyed by it. I get annoyed by it. This constant idea that what you have, everything you have, is ill-gotten gains. I mean, Matt mentioned two things. 69, I'll say before that, Matt said, not every political meeting should start this way. Not every school board meeting, not every school assembly. This stuff is everywhere. And I cannot believe when we say kind of wokeness or whatever you want to call it is dead. It's clearly not dead in the sense that they are not giving up in the universities and in local town councils in blue states, et cetera. But this idea that history, they want to imbue you with this sense that everything you do, you owe a debt to somebody always, and you should always acknowledge it. As Matt pointed out, you can do land acknowledgements as far back as the fossil record. I mean, this is land swapping and fighting and warring and slitting people's throat is really across the board, right? I mean, it's very...
So Moynihan, why are they doing it? Like, truly, why? How does today's DNC sit down, understanding the problems they have and the electoral beating they just took, and say, let's do it, let's include it, cool?
Well, I think one of the reasons is that you have an age shift, and the people who are the kind of middle-aged people in sort of my age cohort now grew up with this thing, and I certainly grew up with this, that this country has this original sin. And to be a liberal, you have to acknowledge constantly the original sin of this country, which is both stealing land and the institution of slavery and racism. And so to keep on this kind of religious, it's kind of like a religious mantra. You have to say it at the beginning of everything that you do to say, well, we are in our original state a bad country and bad people. In the rest of time, in perpetuity, we have to try to cleanse ourselves of that sin, which is burning down white supremacy, burning down the current structure of the government. It's a destructive, almost revolutionary way of thinking.
Yeah, and you're gesturing towards these impossible to conceive of, almost invisible enemies that can't be defeated. Right. It's so much easier than actually having to do something about the things that are materially impacting the quality or lack thereof of people's lives. So that's why you get all of this performance politics.
So it's exactly the same thing. This is the same reason why Trump is having to try to rein in the Smithsonian. It's doing the same thing. The museums are doing. It's a series of museums. They're doing the same thing. Like, basically every corner is a land acknowledgement. We're terrible because they need us to believe we're terrible, that the United States is terrible. That's why the flag is like a dirty symbol now on these leftist houses. I've told a story before, but when I was at NBC, we were doing a story. It was a charity story. It was like we were surprising a widow whose husband had died suddenly with like a special gift. And NBC was like, don't have that flag in the background. I mean, the flag was at her house. It was like a patriotic widow. They were like, no, don't have the flag in the background.
An American flag.
Yes, an American flag. It was on Long Island. It was like, what's so controversial about the flag that NBC doesn't feel comfortable having it in the background of a widow's, it was her flag at her house. But it's the same, all part of the same thing, which is we're terrible. We're awful. And there are original sins and then sins on top of those original sins beyond which we never can move. And we're the better people because we recognize it. But to your point that you just made, Kmele, is so right. But our willingness to do something about it stops at the word. What will the effect of the sparring between President Trump and the Federal Reserve be? Can the Fed take the right action at the right time? Or are we going to be looking at a potential economic slowdown? And what does this mean for your savings? Consider diversifying with gold through Birch Gold Group. For decades, gold has been viewed as a safe haven in times of economic stagnation, global uncertainty, and high inflation. And Birch Gold makes it incredibly easy for you to diversify some of your savings into gold. If you have an IRA or an old 401k, you can convert that into a tax-sheltered IRA in physical gold, or just buy some gold to keep in your safe. First, get educated. Birch Gold will send you a free info kit on gold. Just text MK to the number 989898. Again, text MK to 989898 and consider diversifying a portion of your savings into gold. So if the Fed cannot stay ahead of the curve for the country, at least you can stay ahead for yourself. Thanks so much for watching. If you like what you just saw, hit the subscribe button for more clips and full episodes.